selected a nominee who is widely recognized not only as one of America's sharpest legal minds, but someone who brings to his work a spirit of decency, modesty, integrity, even-handedness, and excellence. Today I am nominating Chief Judge Merrick Garland to join the Supreme Court.
President Obama has spoken and slapped down the promised gauntlet to Republicans. Merrick Garland is his choice to fill the Supreme Court vacancy. By all accounts, a centrist selection who doesn't even sit well with a lot of liberals. And the head-on collision of responsibility between these branches of government is set, as is what some believe could be a massive strategic mistake. Our guest is a veteran attorney who understands the Supreme Court process from experience, having filed numerous state and federal trial and appellate courts briefs, including those for the U.S. Supreme Court and the Supreme Court of Texas. Licensed to practice before the U.S. Supreme Court, he joins us for perspective on the announcement today. Appellate partner at Scheef Stone in Dallas, Texas. Welcome, Byron Henry. Byron, thanks so much for joining us. Let's get right to it here. Is it fair to say that no matter who the president were to nominate today, it is absolute kryptonite, and this is someone who is just going to pass by the boards we won't even hear about again?
I don't know if you won't ever hear about it again. I suspect the left will be up in arms, but I believe that the GOP, especially in the Senate, is pot committed on this. They're basically all in with no action in this election year, and therefore I believe that more than likely you're going to hear a lot of PR on the left and from the president and from senators, Democratic senators, but I don't see any action from the GOP. I'm sure that was communicated to President Obama at their meeting, and he knew this when he made this nomination.
Looking at it from Merrick Garland's standpoint, and just your opinion, I know we can't get inside his head. We don't know exactly what his thinking process is. But can you imagine for a moment what it's like for a guy who is very well respected, who's been in front of the folks in Washington, D.C. before, who now basically is nothing more than a sacrificial lamb? The liberals aren't very thrilled with him. The Republicans say we're not even going to give you a hearing. Why would someone want to almost embarrass themselves like this?
I'm not sure. I mean, if the Republicans stay true to their commitment, there won't be any embarrassment because Chief Judge Garland won't have any hearings or any interviews or be required to answer questions to be embarrassed. He has a good job, a lifetime appointment on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. He is currently their chief, which is a good job. He's older. I suspect, and this is purely speculation, as you said, an opinion, that some of the potential nominees that were younger and even more liberal or more appealing, so to speak, have future ambitions, and whoever is nominated, if they are not confirmed, they will not be nominated again, more than likely. Therefore, Jane Kelly and Paul Watford, those judges that sit on other courts, are very good potential nominees for another Democratic president, and they're younger. So I suspect it could be that Judge Garland agreed, said, I don't mind. If the president calls on me, I will be the nominee, and agreed to be the nominee. And it's possible that some of the other nominees politely passed on the opportunity to simply be, as you put it, a sacrificial lamb.
Would you, and again, that's a good point here, would you not be surprised that there were others whom the president probably went to and they said, I don't want to put myself through this, my family through this. Look, even if I never wind up in front of a congressional committee before, just being involved in this right now just doesn't help me in the least.
Certainly, with 8 months left till the end of the year and 7 or 8 months left to an election, it's a circus under any circumstances for that person. And a lot of these nominees are on the short list, potential nominees, I should say, are on the short list because of their qualifications and their ideology. Of the Jane Kellys, the Judge Watford, and the other judges that were discussed are certainly, they may have a dream to be on the Supreme Court. And if the Republicans are taken at their word that whoever's nominated, there will be no action this year, then they basically would lose that opportunity going forward. So it's eminently possible that they didn't want to sacrifice their future and or their family and other considerations.
Let's look forward then. The president addressed the whole idea of the Senate delaying the confirmation process and what he believes it would mean for politics moving forward. And here's what he said.
It will indicate a process for nominating and confirming judges that is beyond repair. It will mean everything is subject to the most partisan of politics. Everything. It will provoke an endless cycle of more tit for tat and make it increasingly possible for any president, Democrat or Republican, to carry out their constitutional function.
Byron, I got about 90 seconds left. 55% of registered voters disapprove of the Republicans, saying that they will not even look. 45% strong disapproval. Some are saying that this is a bad idea by Mitch McConnell and others to wait because if Hillary Clinton gets elected, then they're still going to have a much more hardcore liberal will be sitting in that chair instead of trying to take a centrist here. What do you think of the strategy?
Well, first of all, as I said before, I think the GOP is pot committed on this. I think they are willing to take the political risk and the chance that Hillary Clinton is nominated and wins the presidential election and eventually nominate someone more liberal and younger than Judge Garland.
But is it a smart risk, I guess? That's the point. Is it a smart risk to take?
Well, I mean, it is certainly the worst of the two hands. I'd rather have the Democrats and Obama's hand on this issue simply because he's now nominated a very well-respected jurist, and it's on the Republicans to take some action or do nothing. I will say this, however, when you cite polls, if you ask the question in a way that makes it sound like the Republicans, quote, aren't doing their job or they're blocking someone, you'll get one answer. But if you were to ask someone, what if it's likely that the Obama appointee will reverse the Second Amendment ruling that gives people the individual right to have bear firearms, if you phrase it that way, I suspect that the answer would be overwhelmingly the other way, that we should not confirm a nominee in that respect. So it's basically how you ask the question. But politically, I think it's a gamble, and I think the Republican Senate has basically made their bed, and now they're going to have to stick to their guns and hope that Hillary Clinton doesn't win. Now, I will remind you that the Republicans will still have the Senate, probably.
Which unfortunately is a discussion for another time, and we are all out of time, but you're exactly right. I'm glad you made that point. Byron Henry, thanks so much for joining us. For those always seeking to understand politics and why people vote in the manner they do, maybe they should look to one state for answers. Bring along a little dry rub for the ribs next.